Here is a statement that may unsettle you, yet it must be spoken. The woman who strives most intensely to prove she requires no man is often the very woman secretly wondering why no man chooses to remain. And before you dismiss this as some crude attempt to confine women to old roles, understand that I am attempting to illuminate a psychological blind spot. What I observe is not a deficiency of worth, but a tragic pattern. Remarkable women repeating ineffective behaviors and then suffering bewildering results. Much of what you have been taught about attraction is inverted. It does not harmonize with the deeper laws of human nature. Indeed, it works against you. Before we explore what renders a woman truly magnetic, we must dismantle 3 illusions that may be quietly corroding your relationships. And yes, some of this may provoke you. That discomfort is often the psyche resisting a truth it has long avoided. Myth number 1: men are intimidated by successful women. Whenever I hear a woman declare, "Men are intimidated by me because I am successful," I recognize something subtler at play. It is rarely intimidation. Here is the unembellished truth. Most men in the realm of attraction are not stirred by your external achievements. Your income, whether modest or immense, does not ignite desire. Your office, your degrees, your accolades, these do not generate chemistry. I do not diminish your accomplishments. They are admirable. But you must grasp a psychological distinction. The qualities that awaken attraction in you are not necessarily those that awaken attraction in a man. To assume so is projection, the feminine psyche projecting its values onto the masculine. It is akin to a man believing you will be captivated because his attire is impeccable. It may be pleasant, yet it is not the essence of longing. Of what truly occurs when men appear intimidated is this: you have inhabited your masculine mode of being for so long that you no longer relinquish it. You direct the dialogue, you determine the outcomes, you solve, correct, compete. The man does not feel afraid, he feels redundant. Within his unconscious, he senses, "She has no need of me. There is no place for my strength." This resembles labor, not love. This is not fear. It is the absence of polarity. Without polarity, there is no erotic tension, no psychological dance between opposites. You may unknowingly assume the role of king, governing the entire terrain, and then wonder why only passive or immature men appear. If you occupy all the masculine ground, there is no realm left for him to stand upon. Myth number 2: vulnerability is weakness. This misconception is particularly tragic, for it is precisely reversed. Many women fear that revealing need, uncertainty, or emotion will diminish them. Thus, they construct a persona of total composure. They appear invulnerable, self-contained, untouched, and then they wonder why intimacy never deepens. Hear this clearly: vulnerability is not fragility. It is the threshold of intimacy. When you conceal your longing, when you deny your needs, when you perform perpetual strength, you do not protect yourself. You prevent love from entering. There is a difference between unregulated emotional chaos and conscious vulnerability. The former demands rescue, the latter invites connection. True vulnerability sounds like this: "May I share something? I have felt uncertain, and I notice a fear that I may not matter as deeply as I hope. I do not know whether this is true, but it is what arises within me." This is not accusation, it is revelation. You are not burdening him with responsibility for your psyche. You are opening a door. When a grounded man encounters such authenticity, something stirs within him. He senses trust. He senses purpose. His protective instinct awakens not because you are helpless, but because you are real. Yet many women deny men this opportunity, preferring the illusion of self-sufficiency. Then they lament the absence of depth. Myth number 3: the right man will simply know. Many carry the fantasy that true love requires no articulation. If he loved me, you think, he would intuit my needs. and resentment grows when unspoken expectations remain unmet. But men are not mystics of the unspoken. The masculine mind is often direct and literal. When you express a need with grace and clarity, it is frequently met with willingness. When you rely upon hints, silence, or passive reproach, disappointment becomes inevitable. You were perhaps taught that asking makes you needy, that the worthy man should anticipate without guidance. This belief sabotages you. To say, "May I ask for your help?" or "Could we speak later today?" is not weakness. It is conscious communication. When expressed with warmth rather than demand, it invites participation, and when he responds, your appreciation affirms his contribution. This exchange strengthens the bond. Suppressed desire breeds distance. Articulated desire builds intimacy. Now let us examine what renders a woman irresistible. From the masculine psyche, what creates fascination? First, she embodies her feminine essence in a world saturated with hardened postures. The primary reason many worthy men do not pursue has little to do with appearance or history. It concerns energy. Masculine energy seeks complement, not duplication. Identical poles repel, opposites generate current. When a woman interested in a man begins to organize, advise, initiate, pursue, she unknowingly shifts into pursuit. She plans, she solves, she gives excessively, she attempts to earn devotion through action. Yet from his interior world this may feel suffocating, maternal, devoid of tension. Without polarity, desire diminishes. Consider a woman who does everything, arranges, pays, comforts, provides. She believes she demonstrates care, yet the man withdraws. Why? Because she leaves no space for him to act. When she ceases excessive doing and begins receptive being, when she allows pursuit rather than orchestrates it, the dynamic transforms. He steps forward because there is room to do so. Feminine presence does not chase, it attracts. To be present, warm, receptive, this is not passivity, it is magnetic strength. The appropriate man is drawn not by force, but by the quiet gravity of embodied femininity. Second, she allows him to feel like a man rather than a project to be improved. When a man senses he is perpetually evaluated, corrected, or reshaped, he withdraws into defensiveness. But when he feels respected and capable in her presence, he expands. Attraction deepens where appreciation replaces assessment. A man does not long to be managed, he longs to be recognized. In the end, irresistibility is not performance. It is alignment with archetypal truth. When feminine and masculine meet in conscious polarity, when vulnerability replaces armor, clarity replaces resentment, and receptivity replaces control, relationship becomes not struggle, but dance. Okay, this one may wound your pride, yet it must be spoken because I observe it repeatedly. There is a significant possibility that you are not truly seeking a man. You are seeking a project. You are searching for someone to repair, someone to refine, someone to shape into the image of your ideal companion. And allow me to illuminate what stirs within a man's psyche when he senses that you are attempting to remake him. He thinks, "She does not accept me. She does not honor me. She believes I am insufficient. Why would I bind myself to someone before whom I perpetually feel inadequate?" I am not suggesting that you tolerate destructive conduct. I am not advising that you remain with a man who demeans you. What I am indicating is that there exists a vast psychological difference between guiding a man and esteeming a man. Here is something essential. A man will move mountains for the woman who allows him to experience respect. A man's deepest hunger within relationship is respect, not merely love. Woman longs to be cherished. Man longs to be respected. When this polarity is understood, the entire dynamic can transform. Respect means recognizing his efforts even when imperfect, expressing gratitude, and never diminishing him before others. It means asking for his perspective and sincerely weighing it. It means permitting him to lead and allowing him to attempt things on his own, even to err, because through error he develops. After 11 years of marriage, my wife still makes me feel victorious. When I act for her, she brightens. She acknowledges it. She thanks me. She makes me feel like her champion. That awakens my desire to give more. Yet many men experience nothing they do suffices. Their partners correct and criticize constantly, then wonder why romance withers and he retreats into distractions. Number 3, she possesses a life of her own. When you make a man your entire existence, you become heavy rather than luminous. Men are drawn to women with their own orbit, friendships, interests, passions that ignite them. Women not suspended in anticipation of his next message. There must be balance between cultivating your own life and allowing him the dignity of providing. Within a man's mind, if you have nothing unfolding in your world and merely await him, he imagines, she will cling, she will depend, she will suffocate me. I will become responsible for her every emotional fluctuation. Yet when your life is already abundant, when you gather with friends who elevate you, when you pursue your passions, when you appear inwardly fulfilled, he thinks, I wish to enter that sphere. I wish to contribute to her already meaningful existence. There is also a subtle truth. When you are joyful with a man, he unconsciously assumes he has caused that joy. Again, he feels triumphant beside you. One of our clients, Ebony, was so consumed with securing a partner that it devoured her vitality. She lived on dating applications, went on numerous dates weekly, dissected every interaction. She was drained, and the men perceived her urgency. When she redirected her focus toward herself, toward purpose, toward cultivating female friendships, toward pursuits that awakened delight, toward the guidance and education she required, her entire presence shifted. She ceased radiating the plea, I need a man to complete me, and began radiating, my life is already whole, yet there is space for the right man to join it. That is when she encountered her now husband, who pursued her with unwavering intention. Number 4, she can reveal her heart without attempting to control the outcome. This belongs to a more advanced psychological level, yet it is indispensable. Many women believe they are vulnerable when in truth they are maneuvering. They express feelings as strategy, hoping to provoke a particular response. If you confess sadness while inwardly calculating, if I tell him I'm hurting, perhaps he will finally commit. That is manipulation, not vulnerability. And men sense this distortion. We may not consciously articulate it, but something feels misaligned and we withdraw. Authentic vulnerability is the disclosure of truth without attachment to his reaction. It is saying inwardly, I will speak what is real within me, and what he chooses to do with it belongs to him. This terrifies many women because you desire assurance. You wish to know that if you open your heart, he will respond as you hope. Yet that is control, not trust. When you share vulnerably, his response reveals his character. If he rises, if he guards your heart, if he seeks to support you, perhaps he is suitable. If he dismisses you, becomes defensive, centers himself, then you have gained clarity that he is not aligned. Either way, you gain knowledge. Yet many women never attain such clarity because they fear vulnerability itself. Number 5, she trusts him to lead, even imperfectly. Men do not desire to lead a woman who contests them at every turn. He proposes a restaurant, you counter with another. He arranges a date, you alter it. He attempts to resolve a difficulty. You inform him he is mistaken or that you will manage it yourself. Eventually he wonders, why exert effort? She will override me regardless. She does not trust my judgment. I will withdraw and allow her to assume command. Then polarity dissolves. You become companions in logistics rather than lovers in tension. This does not mean silence or blind compliance. It means distinguishing between honest expression and chronic correction. Consider ballroom dancing. If you constantly resist his lead, tug away, attempt to direct the movement yourself, the dance collapses. But when you trust the lead, when you follow with receptivity, even through imperfections, the dance becomes harmonious. A woman becomes profoundly compelling through self-respect. This means walking away from mistreatment without drama, without fury, simply with composure. Many endure poor treatment because they fear solitude or starting over. This is the sunk cost fallacy, feeling unable to abandon what has already been invested. Yet when you tolerate poor behavior, a man unconsciously concludes you do not truly value yourself. But when you possess authentic self-worth, when you are willing to release what is not aligned with your soul, everything shifts. He senses he must rise or lose you. One client, Celine, faced a man who cycled between warmth and withdrawal. Rather than confront him, she quietly withdrew her energy and turned inward. She did not scheme or punish. She simply reclaimed herself, and he felt her absence. He perceived what he might forfeit, and he matured in response. Now, she did not act to manipulate him. That is essential. She acted because she genuinely honored her own worth and resolved she would no longer accept inconsistency. And that sincerity is what gave the act its power, because it was real. The psyche responds to what is authentic. This is a central element of what we teach in our 90-day initiation. How to detach from the outcome. How to observe a man's conduct with clarity rather than projection. How to depart from men who are not right for you without bitterness or resentment. Number 7, she is rooted in something greater than the relationship. And here we arrive at the deepest principle. A woman who makes a man her god will inevitably face disillusionment. But a woman grounded in her faith, who sustains her own living relationship with the true God, who trusts the pattern of meaning unfolding in her life, such a woman becomes profoundly magnetic. Why? Because she is not desperate. She is not clinging. She does not burden a man with the task of manufacturing her happiness. She is already inwardly full. She already carries purpose. She already embodies worth. And a man is invited to participate in that fullness, not to generate it. Charm is deceptive and beauty fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord shall be praised. This is not fundamentally about religiosity. It is about rootedness. It is about knowing who you are at the level of the self. It is about standing upon a foundation that does not tremble when a man disappoints you, or even when a bond dissolves. In my own marriage, faith forms a deep bond between us. When difficulty arises, and it will, we return to God. We pray, we seek wisdom, we trust the larger design. And this orientation allows us to build something enduring rather than something fragile. Yet let me be unmistakably clear. You may embody everything I have described today with integrity, and it still may not unfold with a particular man. Not every man is your man. Not every man can receive your feminine presence. Some men are wounded in ways they have not faced. Some carry narcissistic tendencies. Some are simply unprepared, and that is acceptable. For when you live by these principles, you are not attempting to coerce commitment. You are becoming the woman God intended you to be, and the right man will recognize this and move toward you. But you must trust the process. You must trust divine timing. You must be willing to walk away from those who are not aligned, even when it aches, even when loneliness presses in, even when you are deeply in love, even when a voice whispers, "There may be no one better." Before I conclude, one more essential reflection. Amid all this focus on becoming irresistible, do not neglect to turn inward. Are you truly drawn to him, or merely intoxicated by being desired, or perhaps addicted to pursuit, to emotional unavailability, hoping at last you will persuade a man to remain? I have seen many women labor intensely to secure commitment, only to discover once achieved that it was not genuinely what they desired. They wished to be chosen. They wished to triumph. And then they find themselves bound to someone who is not good for their growth. Do not inflict that upon yourself. Do not settle. Do not convince yourself that adequate is sufficient. Wait for the man who truly complements your being, who enlivens you, with whom you can cultivate a meaningful life. If this resonates but you do not know how to embody it, an assessment can illuminate your specific obstacles, perhaps childhood wounds, anxious attachment, or over-identification with masculine energy, and provide a personalized path forward. It requires only 2 minutes and can bring surprising clarity. To understand how to respond when a man withdraws or ignores you, watch the video titled, "If a Man Ignores You, Never Chase." Do this instead. It will transform how you navigate such moments without desperation. I want to speak directly to those who have been wounded before. Perhaps you have given your heart to a man who returned it broken. Perhaps you have been abandoned, deceived, or taken for granted. And now you carry armor. You carry suspicion. You carry the belief that vulnerability is dangerous because when you were vulnerable last time, you were hurt. I understand this. The heart protects itself. It builds walls. It refuses to feel. But here is what I must tell you with compassion and urgency. The walls that keep out the wound also keep out the love. The armor that protects you from being hurt again also prevents you from being reached. You cannot heal by remaining guarded. You cannot attract a healthy man while radiating distrust. The wounded woman tests him constantly, waiting for him to fail, waiting for evidence that he will abandon her as others have. And in that waiting, she often creates the very abandonment she fears. He feels her suspicion. He feels he is perpetually on trial. And eventually, he grows weary of defending himself against crimes he did not commit. This is not to blame you for past wounds. You did not choose to be hurt. But you must choose to heal. You must choose to release the man who wounded you from occupying free rent in your mind. Because until you do, every new man will be judged against an old ghost. There is a woman who came to us after years of failed relationships. She had been cheated on in her 20s, and a decade later, she still interrogated every partner about where they had been, who they had spoken to, why they were 5 minutes late. She believed she was protecting herself. In truth, she was poisoning every possibility of trust before it could grow. Her healing began not when she found a man who could endure her scrutiny, but when she turned inward and faced the original wound. She forgave the man who had hurt her, not because he deserved forgiveness, but because she deserved freedom. And only then could she receive a man who was trustworthy. Now let us examine something uncomfortable. Some of you are not attracted to healthy men. Intellectually, you desire commitment. You desire stability. You desire a man who is present, consistent, emotionally available, but viscerally, you feel nothing. No spark, no chemistry, no desire. And then you encounter a man who is inconsistent, unavailable, emotionally unpredictable, and you feel alive. You feel chemistry. You feel obsession. You feel longing. And you tell yourself, this is passion, this is connection, this is love, but I must name what this truly is. It is your nervous system replaying familiar patterns from childhood. If you grew up with a parent who was unpredictable, who withheld affection, who required you to earn love through performance, then inconsistency feels like home. It feels familiar, and the brain mistakes familiarity for destiny. A healthy, consistently present man may not activate your attachment system if it was wired for chaos. He may feel boring because safety feels foreign. So you chase the man who keeps you guessing and call it chemistry. But this is not chemistry. It is unhealed trauma masquerading as passion, and it will leave you empty. The real question is whether you can recognize a healthy man and feel attraction for him. This requires rewiring. It means sitting in the discomfort of safety long enough for your nervous system to recalibrate. Say no to men who make your heart race with uncertainty, and yes to men who let it rest in peace. To those waiting in your 30s or 40s while watching others move forward, your timing is not rejection. It may be preparation. Solitude builds strengths that relationships cannot. Use this season to become the woman you are meant to be. I think of a woman named Elizabeth Elliot who waited years for her husband. She wrote these words: "Waiting on God requires the willingness to bear uncertainty, to carry within myself the unanswered question, lifting my heart to God about it whenever it intrudes upon my thoughts." Your waiting is not emptiness. It is preparation. It is sanctification. It is the slow shaping of a soul into someone capable of sustaining covenant love. Do not despise your waiting. Do not fill it with frantic striving or settling for less than what your soul requires. Use it. Grow in it. Become the woman you would want your future husband to find. And if you are in a relationship now that is not aligned, if you are with a man who does not honor you, who does not pursue you, who keeps you in ambiguity, let me ask you a question that may cut deeply. Why are you still there? What are you afraid of losing? A fantasy? A potential that may never be realized? The comfort of not being alone? Because I tell you, staying in the wrong place is how you remain unavailable for the right one. Every day you spend with a man who is not your man is a day you are closed off to the man who is. Every ounce of energy you pour into someone who will not choose you is energy stolen from the future you say you want. This is not easy to hear. I know, but sometimes love requires us to speak difficult truth. Sometimes love requires us to release what we are holding so tightly that our hands are too full to receive what is being offered. Now, let me offer you a vision of what is possible. Imagine a relationship where you do not have to perform, where you do not have to strategize, where you do not have to wonder if he will call or if he cares. Imagine a man who moves toward you with clarity and intention, who protects you not only physically but emotionally, who honors your heart as sacred ground, who leads with humility and strength, who sees your feminine beauty and cherishes it rather than exploiting it, who prays with you and for you, who builds with you rather than using you. This is not fantasy. This is what becomes available when you become the woman who can receive it. But you must become her first. You cannot remain the anxious woman and attract the secure man. You cannot remain the controlling woman and attract the leading man. You cannot remain the wounded woman and attract the healed man. Like attracts like, always. So I ask you, what work remains undone in you? What patterns have you refused to examine? What wounds have you refused to bring to light? The answers are gateways to your transformation. If you have read books, listened to podcasts, and still repeat the same patterns, perhaps you need not more information but initiation. Not more advice, but accountability. That is why we created the 90-day initiation, to walk with you through the transformation I have described. In that container, we do not just tell you what to do. We help you see what you cannot see about yourself. We help you release what you cannot release alone. We help you become the woman who no longer chases, no longer clings, no longer settles. The woman whose presence is so magnetic that the right man cannot help but move toward her. The link to learn more is below. And if today's message stirred something in you, if it provoked you or challenged you or woke something that has been sleeping, then I invite you not to dismiss it. Sit with it. Let it work in you, and then take the next step, whatever that may be. Because you were not made for loneliness. You were not made for ambiguity. You were not made for a love that leaves you questioning your worth. You were made for communion. You were made for covenant. You were made to be seen, known, cherished, and chosen, and the woman who can receive that is already within you. She is simply waiting for you to become her. Thank you for listening. I trust this has offered insight. Now go and become the woman you were always meant to be.